PlayStation VR. Now, if there is one system or console or accessory, I don't know, that's neglected, it's definitely the original PlayStation VR. Now, I am going to stick up for it because nobody's talking about it anymore. And people only make passing references to this thing when we're thinking about the PSVR 2. So I'm going to try and convince you why you should get one if you don't have one, and why if you have one, it's time to pick it up, wipe the dust away, and get playing. This is Hyaku Shiki 96, it's your favourite billionaire philanthropist, and let's get right into it. So the PlayStation VR came out in 2016, so it's 10 years old. Now, for VR tech, especially being one of those early consoles, I think this space has advanced so much since then, especially when you consider even the second generation. But I don't think it actually takes away from what the first generation has achieved. I remember when it was kind of revealed as Project Morpheus, and I thought, wow, this is fantastic. This is some kind of new, novel, exciting experience. And really that's what drew me to it. But I didn't actually pick it up when it was out and about and brand new. And the reason for that was, it's really difficult online to convey what VR looks like in an effective way, because you're viewing it from the flat screen, you're not seeing it, the all-encompassing kind of thing, and I guess the interactivity element of it, what the headset feels like on your head. You can't convey those things by words effectively, especially because it's different for everybody. I guess for me, the main thing was really, I kind of really wanted to dive into it, but I was hesitating for quite a long time. And then you know what? I just thought, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna dive into it. And I picked it up after playing Resident Evil 7 and just thinking, I could be playing this in VR. And I got it for a fantastic price. I think at the time it was about 50 or so pounds, and you can easily get it for around that, 50 to 100, depending on condition, if you want a box or things like that, if you want the controllers and stuff. So in terms of value, it is 100% there. I mean, you think about it, if you have ever been thinking about VR and you've wanted to try it, but the actual cost has put you off, and you have a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. For me, that's what it was. It was my way of trying it. I kind of bought it just before the PSVR 2 came out. The PSVR 2 launched at a very expensive £530 for the base. So a tenth of the price, I mean, no-brainer. It felt like a lot less of a leap of faith, I suppose. And I was very impressed. Some of my key experiences, like playing Resident Evil 7 VR right after playing the original. And I mean, I've never played it in the original since. The VR is so fantastic. And you get that mixture between doing a bit of room scale, which is where you can kind of like walk around and reach for things, standing and sitting. For me, room scale isn't the preference, because my front room isn't that big. I've got enough couches and stuff there that I don't have necessarily 2 by 2 meters very comfortably. So I tended to do the standing and the sitting. I have to say, for the PSVR 1, my preference definitely is the sitting mode, because I feel like there are some flaws with it, and it comes to, I guess it's sort of early adoption, first iteration kind of thing. What it does is you plug in the PlayStation camera. If you're doing it on PS5, you need an adapter, by the way. And this plugs it in and it tracks the lights on the headset and on the controllers. You have 3 different types of controllers you can use. The DualShock 4, I found that the DualSense works with almost every one of those games, but there are some that are locked behind it. You've got the Move controllers, which originally debuted in the PS3. And then you've got the Aim controller, which is kind of like a big gun type thing. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, I think that these 3 different types of controls give you a bit of the different play styles. A lot of games kind of accommodate to multiple, some may not, but I feel like I'd say some of my bigger favourite games, even ones like Sniper Elite is a good example, contains control schemes based on the Move controllers, the Aim controller and the DualShock controller. So being able to have that flexibility in the games means, depending on what you're looking for out of the headset, it's actually quite flexible. The tracking being based upon light for the motion does come with some downsides. It means that you're definitely going to want to avoid having a brightly lit room. And also, you're not going to get the best tracking outside of the field of view of the camera, so you really have to think carefully about the camera's positioning, your distance from the camera, and things like that, really. But I think that whilst it's a little bit of a hassle to set it up, it's definitely worth it. I think the problem with this headset would be, for me anyway, is if you're taking it out and putting it back in constantly, and you're not able to really leave it set up, that's where the problem comes in. Because for those of us who know, there are quite a lot of cables you need to plug in. They have a breakout box, and you plug that breakout box into the TV and you run the pass-through into the console. You then power it, plug it in via mini USB into the console as well, and then also you'll be plugging directly into the VR headset, which comes with 2 cables into the front of that. So it is quite hefty in that sense. And I think that whilst it's a little bit of a hassle, it's not the biggest deal in the world. I mean, for the price, I think you can kind of forego some convenience elements. Like I said, I think if you're able to leave it set up, you can mitigate that. So that's what I do. I will leave it set up for quite a while. So I'll have like a few weeks or a month or something when I'm using it quite heavily, and then I'll put it away and properly tidy it up. I tend to leave the breakout box in there, but I won't necessarily plug it in. I'll just kind of leave it ready so that I can set it up and then use it a lot and then put it away. So that's one way I work around that weakness. And I think as well, like I said, with the tracking not being perfect, that's why I generally recommend the sitting, but the standing's quite good as well. I would just say if you are using the standing, don't try to turn the opposite way of the camera. You might lose tracking, and also like to think about that camera position. So those are the downsides to using the original PlayStation VR, but I want to talk about the good sides besides the price, because I mean the price is fantastic, right? The first thing is the software library, and I mean, you are going to get to plug in to the PlayStation. You don't have to buy an expensive computer to do it, and you're going to get some great exclusives: Astrobot Rescue Mission, Resident Evil 7 VR, Blood and Truth, Doom 3 VR. I mean, there's quite a long list of titles, and some are still exclusive to that platform, which are just actually, I guess, standout experiences that I'd still recommend, that hold up quite well. I think that even though I've said that the tracking isn't perfect, it's competent and it's more than enough to really enjoy all of these games. I think I could talk a lot about each individual game, but what I will say is it's quite a mature platform. You know, it's a legacy platform, so there's a lot of games. If you're wanting to pick them up, there's also a lot of them that are physical as well. One of the problems with, I guess, the newer PlayStation VR is it's the minority that have physical copies. Most of them are digital, and it kind of is a bit more even physical to digital ratio on the original PlayStation VR. There are still some that are only digital, but I think you can get quite a lot, and they are surprisingly affordable. I mean, your average PlayStation VR game is actually cheaper than your average PlayStation 4 game to collect physically in the UK. And I mean, if you're wanting that longevity, I mean, that's fantastic in terms of what that ease of use is really for the platform. I mean, if you have the disc version of Minecraft on PS4, there are some ones that have VR for that. It's not officially supported anymore, but if you didn't like launch the automatic updates and played the legacy version on the disc, you can still play that via the disc, and that's a great example of, I guess, the advantages of having the original platform and having the physical copies when possible. I think what you will find in some compromises is those graphics. I think the panel, it's like, I think a 1080p panel that you'll see, an OLED panel on the monitors, or the screens inside the headset. I don't know what the word for it is. It can be a little bit blurry, and I suppose that's the side effect really for the computing power of the PlayStation 4. It is quite difficult to do VR. It's a lot more demanding than just your average flat screen game, because obviously there's so much more interactivity and things that go into it. I would say that the graphics are a little bit blurry, and especially when it comes to text, that's another downside too. text is legible, but it's, I think, sometimes not as legible as you'd like. Now, of course, the headset works around this pretty well. Like, a lot of games will have things where it will read things out to you, or have characters read things out, and it works that way, or it'll just have the text slightly larger. But that smaller text you might struggle a little bit with. Really is, it's just unmistakably, and I mean unmistakably, really great value with really great experiences. I think I want to kind of wrap this up and move in a bit more of a summarizing direction, because I kind of shared what my thoughts are. I think if you are interested in VR and you already have a PlayStation 4 or 5, but you don't really want to spend those prices, you're worried about planned obsolescence on things like the MetaQuest platform, because we know the original MetaQuest does not really work at all anymore, and the second one will eventually be like that too. If you're kind of worried about that, or you're thinking about those specific experiences, like I'd love to play Resident Evil 7 in VR, I'd love to play Doom 3 in VR, I'd love to play the original Astro Bot game, I think it's worth it for those alone, just the exclusives. It has quite a great platform. There are a few compromises, but for the price, it's, I think, pretty difficult to argue against. I really personally think, I'm just going to be honest and put my opinion out here, that at the moment there's not really a better value deal in gaming at the moment. It is slept on. Collecting the actual console, considering there are only 5 million copies sold worldwide, or just over 5 million, it's affordable, it's accessible, people are not that interested into it, and I don't understand why, to be honest. It's fantastic, it still holds up and it's fun, and the few compromises that it has, there are enough workarounds that make it totally worth it. So if you're thinking about jumping into VR and spending more money, you don't know, or you would just like to try it out, this is the perfect thing to get. And if you haven't played it in a while, pick it up and have a go, because like I said, I've been playing it at the moment for the past few months, and honestly, it's been a lot of fun. I'm so glad that I made that decision to buy it 3 years ago, and I hope that you can have a great time with it too. So that was my thoughts on the PlayStation VR and why I think you should buy and play it in 2026. If you'd like to see more videos, I guess, about VR and my experiences with it, please let me know. And of course, I'm happy to even, I guess, talk about or try specific games. I know there's still quite a lot of things that I haven't discovered for the platform, so if any of you are VR enthusiasts, feel free to add your voice in here, because for me, as somebody who I guess is relatively inexperienced with it, I think it's a fantastic medium that everyone should give a shot, and it really can draw you into those worlds. And I guess it's kind of like the innovation in gaming that we've really wanted for quite a long time. And it's accessible. What can I say? Yeah, unfortunately, I have to go now. So I upgraded my hot tubs last time, or a little while ago I told you, but I found out there's an LED set that can react to music and things, so I want to have that installed in my Super Delog hot tub set, which is of course on my super yacht. So I'm going to go do that and get that sorted. I'm sure it will go well. We'll need to update you. I don't want to rub salt in the wound. Haha. Anyway, bad jokes aside, I'll catch you on the next one.